Welcome to another episode of OG55. I got Jared from Capture the Magic with me today. We are reacting to 3 content creators. We're talking about a potential tourism tax coming to Anaheim. Oh my gosh, we're talking about influencers and those Disney merch resellers. We're also talking about the future of EPCOT. The bright future of this amazing park. I love Epcot. I'm in California. I fell in love with that park when I was down there a couple years ago. But we're going to react to these amazing content creators. We got Jared from Capture the Magic in the house up next on OG55. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG55. We are doing another one of these this week in Disney YouTube, a little series we got here on OG55, where we take a small clip from a bigger video from various content creators and we react to it, kind of like the news roundup of the week. But before we dive in, Jared, welcome back, brother. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. It's getting ready for Halloween over here, so it's all down in Florida. It's a big deal down here. So we did pumpkins and stuff today, but doing good. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me back. And you can catch me at Cap the Magic here on YouTube. That's where I have my internet wares, is where you can find me. And I'm looking forward to reacting to some videos. Like I said last time, I love reaction stuff.
Yeah, me too. No, a lot of fun. We got some good ones today, so we'll check it out. Thank you for coming on, Jared. Appreciate you, brother.
Of course.
Let's rock and roll. So this is a content creator I'm actually kind of new to. She kind of came onto my radar. I think it was shared in one of our group texts, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yeah, I'm the same way. I came across her like a couple of weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, Kiki Chanel. She's got a big following, 888,000 subscribers. So she's doing big things. I looked over her channel, basically what she kind of does. She doesn't really focus just on Disney, although she will tap into that like she does in this video. But mostly talks about various influencers, TikTok culture, stuff like that. So I'll be linking her channel down below, but she's got a massive following. But this video overall was very, very interesting, Jared, because she talks about Disney sucks now. She talks about how the Disney park experience has really changed over the years. And I mean, we talk about it all the time here. It really has. But this in particular, she's talking about these resellers, right? Or, they get into they go to these outlets or whatever. You guys have one out there, the Character Warehouse, I think it's called.
There's 2 of them. Yeah, there's 2 of them down near Disney World. Yep.
And they go and buy this stuff in bulk, and then they get on eBay and they like basically overcharge you, and
it's not even just eBay. I think they show in this clip. It's I've seen this in person. It's like live selling in the store.
What?
And these stores, mind you, are tiny. Like these outlet stores are maybe, like, if you think about a normal Disney shop, it is a fourth the size of that. So they're not very big to begin with. And yeah, I think show some of the clip here, but yeah, it's becoming an issue, I will say.
Oh my gosh, it's wild. And I really want to tap in because on our episode, we do a bi-weekly show here on OG55, but the primary channel is on your channel, Capture the Magic. It's called Theme Parking. And we did dip into, on I think our last episode, this kind of influencer kind of culture. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So we'll kind of tap into that again in case people miss that episode. But let's go ahead and play this and we'll go from there. She's pretty, by the way. Really pretty girl.
Yeah, she's a cute girl.
What's wrong with the Disney culture? I wanted to get a pair of ears, maybe, from the Disney outlet, and I get here 40 minutes before it opens. And wait till you see what I'm seeing. First of all, look at the totes. Look at the little wagons. All these totes.
So technically this is not on Disney property, but this is still a Disney store. And this is supposed to be discounted items. So people can get them for less. Yet you have people who camp out with carts, like as you see here, and then they go into the store and they basically do like the TJ Maxx live streams. You remember that one? Okay, did a video on that one. People go in there and they live stream to who the hell knows, probably on TikTok Live or whatever, and they sell stuff out of the store and they mark it up and do a finder's fee. Yeah, this is happening on a daily basis. And guess what? Those things that were finally affordable to people at the Disney outlet store are no longer anymore. They're ruining everything.
Well, and this is the issue. She brings up a great point here, where it's like you go here for the deal, right? And so what these resellers do is they get in there and they buy it in bulk, and a lot of times they buy the whole stock. So there's literally nothing left. So you don't have a choice now. If you want that particular item, you have to go online and search for it. And when you search for it, you come across these resellers, and now they've marked it up. You know what I'm saying?
There's that end of it, and then there's the other end where they will go into these stores and they have those totes. They will take merchandise, put it into their tote, and then they're live. And basically, people on the live stream will say, "Oh, I'll take it," and it becomes like an auction in the live stream. And so they're not actually like buying it; they're just hoarding it into their stuff. So when you go in those stores, I've never seen it where the whole store's full of them, but I have seen a couple of them where they've just got all of something in a size in their tote, and then they're just on like TikTok or Instagram or something like that, and basically just doing like a live auction.
This is absolutely insane to me. Now, I live in California, so I'm not familiar with this particular outlet store, but like, do the cast members in this store, do they say anything to these people? Like, this is crazy.
I think in this video, she does show like a cast member went up to one of them and they said they had a change of policy. But in terms of like, this has always been that debate too, because you'll see this in the theme parks of people like, if it's a limit of 10, they'll get groups together and then like something's brand new and it's gone within minutes and then it's up on eBay. So you have that end of it. I don't know how much Disney cares because they're selling the merchandise.
True, yeah.
But then it's like at the same time, you got a whole bunch of, angry guests. It's like you're trying to find a balance there. They may have recently made a change here. They seem to allude to that. But last I checked, I don't think there's they're in here doing this probably every day. It would be my guess. Most of them.
That's wild. And you're right. Like, what's the incentive on Disney's part to kind of step in? Because I'm assuming if the merch is in this warehouse, it's probably had trouble selling in the first place.
Yes.
I would
Usually,
guess.
I think it goes. This stuff ends up here. I think it goes to like and my dad used to work for Disney, and they have a cast member store that's discounted. So it'll go there first, and then if it doesn't sell there, then maybe it goes here. I'm not really sure exactly the process, but it's basically this is like older stuff that's out of season. But you can go in here and find like $5 mouse ears, or we've been like 2 or 3 times. You can find a coffee mug, that Starbucks mug that was maybe $25 for like $5. Like you can find really cheap stuff in there, and like especially for kids, like the toys and things like that. Like it can gotta be a nice thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting.
Wagons, they are all resellers.
Yep.
All of them. Everybody has a tote and a wagon.
Yep.
And they're still
Wagon.
going. More totes and more wagons. This is a Disney outlet where people can come and maybe get a pair of ears that are $9 instead of $35 in the park.
Mm-hmm.
But no, these people have ruined it. I made it in the Disney store, and it's much worse than I thought. All these people are on live, and
This is dystopian, what you're about to say.
their wagons are overflowing. Look at this absolute mountain right here. Look at this.
I love that she's just filming them and she's like, I don't care. I got to show people this because it's a problem.
This is all people's stuff.
Well,
They're just on live.
it is a problem, and she's right. And the thing is, it's not even just the resellers. We talked about it on our theme parking show, where this kind of like this influencer culture is like becoming a major issue. And it really stems from just, there's a lot of things happening. I think number one, honestly, with the invention of the annual pass, right? Back in the day, I think and look, I mean, I'm not against annual passes in general. We all have them, right? But I think that kind of started this whole thing where you have people now going to these places all the time, where before annual passes, Disney was much more of an event situation where you would go for your birthday, or you'd go with your family for, Christmas or something. But now you have a whole culture of people that are going 2 and 3 times a week. And so that changes the whole dynamic on how people visit the parks, how people see the parks, how people interact with the parks. So now people are going to these parks, and they're not even special anymore. You have people that are going there and they got side businesses. They're selling pins or whatever, or they're bored and they're playing games in the park. It's like that would never happen 30 years, but pre-annual passes, because usually, if you spent money on that ticket, you're doing the rides, you're doing the whole experience thing. But now when you can just pop in for an hour and pop out, it becomes a hangout. So the whole culture has changed. And I feel like this reseller thing is sort of a branch of that whole thing. What say you?
Yeah, I think this kind of started. I don't know if he was the first one to do it, but I think these outlet stores, like people knew about him. But I think it all started like Tim Tracker, I remember, would go into these stores and just show like, hey, you can get some really cheap Disney stuff. Like back when we did vlogs, I remember we did one and like they got a lot of views because people were like, oh my gosh, you can find cheap Disney stuff. And I think probably what happened was in the comments, people were like, oh my gosh, if you could find, and I remember we did that. We'd get messages of people being like, if you could find X, Y, and Z, I'll pay you this much for it or whatever, because people can't go to the parks as much. Right. So I think this has become, like you said, a branch off of that to now where you're live. These people are in the shops and it's like to them, they can't get to Disney. So they're willing to pay more. They're making money because they're there. But then, then you've got the whole thing of people that just want cheap stuff. But it's definitely, and I would say for sure, this one maybe not necessarily you don't have to be an annual pass holder because it's in a mall. Like these things are off Disney property. But for sure, the fact of like people are just in the parks, and obviously there's demand for it because people want content from the theme parks for when they go on trips. And this is just a natural branch off of that of, oh, I can get merchandise cheaper before my trip or something along those lines.
No, 100%. It's crazy to me how big the Disney brand is when you have a whole separate economy.
Oh yeah.
like this is a whole little economy ecosystem in and of itself. That's like kind of like separate from the main, like obviously you have the main Disney stuff that you go to Disney, you buy directly from Disney or whatever. But now you have this whole like influencer economy that people are like literally like living off of. It's wild to me. That's how big this whole thing is. You know what I'm saying? It blows my mind. It really does.
Yep.
Advertising things. They're literally having their own showcase on live. They're having live sales shows in the middle of the effing store. Are you kidding me?
Look at, she's got her phone on a tripod and she's got a cart full of things that she's selling people that aren't even there.
How is this allowed? She has a live show going. Look at this. Seriously, what happened to families coming here, buying one or two things, getting some ears for their kids? No, it's turned into a sales event. This shouldn't be allowed.
Gone are the days of people acting in good faith.
I can't believe this. Everybody's on live. All of this stuff is for one.
Have you no shame, people? This is one person's. I mean, you need a pallet cart to come pick this up.
Person that are selling.
Hey, I hope someone over there is forklift certified. Go ahead.
Hey, I am. I could go do that. No, what's crazy is like they haven't bought that stuff. And that's what, like, I could see a situation like I'm all for capitalism. If you, like you're saying, you got an offshoot thing and people have a demand for it, you're servicing a demand, that's fine. But then it gets into a gray area because like I can see a scenario where like my daughter wants something and she's got, she's saved money up. And you go into this store and it's just full of people doing this reselling and you can't find anything because they've hoarded it into their baskets. And then from Disney's perspective, this is all stuff they just want to get rid of. So it's like, what motivation do they have to quell that? Because these people are actually helping them. It's like, it'd be like you having a yard sale and some guy is live selling on your yard sale. Like, do you really care? Like, it was just stuff you wanted to get rid of. And I think that's the thing where it's like, I don't know what the answer to it is. Like, I don't really know what law or what rule you could implement that would at least cut down on this. Like, I guess no totes maybe, but I don't really know what you could do.
Exactly. I mean, if Disney were to kind of drop the hammer on this thing, I mean, they would theoretically be cutting into their own money, if you do a whole limit to kind of thing, which sometimes they do that. I understand that, but I mean, obviously they're not doing that here, at least to some degree, but like that would cut into their bottom line because like you were saying, and you're absolutely correct, they're trying to get rid of this shit. So
they don't care. This is all old stuff. Like they just want it gone. Now, one thing, I don't know if they do this in Hollywood. One thing I do like that Universal Orlando does is they will randomly, when there's something new, they just sort of release it sometimes. Like they don't pre-announce it, I think, to cut down on the people that line up to buy stuff then resell it. And granted, they don't have as big of probably an ecosystem surrounding it as Disney does. But I do like the fact that kind of gives you, if you're in the park, you happen to be there, it gives you the chance to do it and get something you want before it's just all gone when there's some new release that comes out.
100%. I love that. I didn't know Universal did that. And that's a brilliant idea, actually. And one of the things too, and I think this is kind of what Kiki is getting at, and I could be wrong, but the kind of that how I'm interpreting it with this video is Disney used to be about like you would take your kids to the parks or even to like the Disney store. I remember going to the Disney store as a kid with
Oh
my
yeah.
mom and stuff, right? It was like a real special thing to do, you know? And you would go and you'd pick something out and it was a really fun experience. And it was kind of like, and I hate to say this, but it was a magical, like it really did make your day as a kid. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even outside of Disney, like going to Toys R Us and picking out a Nintendo game was like,
Oh my gosh, dude.
dude.
If nobody experienced when your mom let you get one of and you got the tag and you're just like, oh my, I'm gonna get it. Yeah, that was, dude. Yes, it was such a cool experience.
Oh, the best, absolutely the best. But it's like you and I are old enough where we had those moments, right? Where we could experience that with the Nintendo and the tag, or going to the Disney store and like, you know, mom buys you something really cool. But I feel like with this, it kind of turns it into like this kind of gross thing. It's technically maybe they're not doing anything necessarily on paper that's wrong. Obviously, this isn't illegal. I mean, you know, like we were saying, obviously Disney wants to get rid of it. So technically, they're not doing anything wrong. They're not breaking any rules necessarily, but it feels scummy. It feels gross. You know what I'm saying? And it takes away from the kids and the families that want to have a special kind of organic moment. And now you have a bunch of like, old, Disney adults, and they're kind of like stepping over these kids to like grab these items. It just feels gross to me. I don't know.
I agree, and I think this comes with, I mean, it's like, what if you think about a solution for it? It's like, does Disney then have times where like only little kids can come in? But then they would probably manipulate that. It's always like finding little like gaps in the system, and they try and make a new rule, and then like somebody finds a workaround to it. And it just like on some level, there's demand for these things, but it's like, Disney obviously and theme parks in general have gotten much more expensive, and so it's like maybe you can't afford to go to the parks to buy something, but you could go here to get some stuff, and even that now is out of your reach. And it's just yet another thing where you're just like, okay, I can't even have a discounted Mickey ears because 45 of them are on TikToks in the store. And I agree, and that's the thing too. It's like I don't really know what the answer is, but I feel like there's stuff they could do. If there is, if there's a lot of people that do want this stuff at a discount, like you try and figure out some rule to like, allow early access or something for people that are just wanting to buy stuff for themselves and not resell it.
Yeah, no, well said.
Disney needs to put an end to this because this is not their store.
They need to be banned.
This is the Disney Character Warehouse. This is not, Terry's online shopping extravaganza. I'm sorry.
Are y'all about to make your purchase?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay.
Yes.
From now on, I'm not going to allow y'all to hang out this long with all that merchandise.
By the way, this is someone who is doing this live streaming stuff, okay? So she's literally got her phone notes open right now. She's got everyone's order in there and who she's shipping it out to and how much the price of it was. She was live streaming this, and she actually thinks that the employee who's telling her that she can't sit there with all that merchandise for 3 hours, she thinks the employee is in the wrong. The audacity that these people have.
All of this stuff I could have sold already, so we're not allowing y'all to hold anything. If you fill up your wagon, you can make your purchase and then come back here and do it again, but I'm not going to be able to allow you to hold and stay in the corner like this.
Look, I don't know if you should allow people to have wagons. I mean, is that kind of insane? A wagon. What about a wheelbarrow if I show up in a wheelbarrow?
It's funny that she says that because it is funny. That's actually pretty hilarious to see someone walk in with a wheelbarrow. But I mean, would you be shocked if it actually happened? I probably wouldn't be.
I wouldn't be that shocked. And this is the part I was talking about. I think where he said she'd been there for like 3 hours. He's like, I'm not going to let you sit in the corner because I could have sold this merchandise already. I guess that could be the thing that maybe the change they have made. It's like there's a time limit or maybe you just say you get a cart or a hand cart and that's all you get, sort of thing. But yeah, and that's the thing. It's just you're right. It just feels scummy. Like just the vibes of it are just off.
The vibes are off. Yeah, exactly. You don't have to be like committing a crime, or you don't have to necessarily be breaking the rules, but it just feels disgusting, It's
like if you were gonna, like if I was in line to get something and there was a little kid behind me and it was like the last one, I'd be like, hey, there's nothing wrong with me getting it, but I would feel gross if I was like, I'm an adult. Like, let the kid have something cool. Like, he was really excited for. Like, at least to me, like, it's like those lines where you're not technically doing anything wrong, maybe, but it's just like, it just doesn't feel good.
It doesn't sit well. I 100% agree. Now, before we move on to our next clip, I will be linking Kiki Chanel's channel down below. Like I said, I'm new to her channel, but I like her content. I mean, she's cool. She does a lot of like influencer culture kind of things. She'll call out various creators or whatever for kind of crappy behavior and stuff. But overall, I mean, I'll have to look at her content more and check it out. But this video, the full video is really good. She dives into a lot more than just the resellers. She gets into like the influencer culture and all that. So, and just the Disney experience and the prices and all that. So make sure you check her out. But before we dive into our next clip, any final thoughts, Jared, on this one?
No, I mean, I don't know what the answer is. Like, she was saying they should be banned, but it's like, for what? Like, I get that end of things. Like, I'm with her, but it's like, I don't really know. Like, I don't think they should be banned because technically, like, they didn't break any rules at that moment. I don't know. It's just, and like the thing about those stores, they're small. So if you have even like 10 people in that store doing this, you're gonna have a hard time maneuvering in that store. Like, they're not big. And so just the fact that they're overloaded with these people doing this, yeah, I mean, it's a problem, but I don't know if it's a problem that Disney cares about. Because again, it's just stuff they want to get rid of.
No, I agree. And it kind of stems into the influencer thing. A lot of people complain about the influencers being like, you know, we've talked about it where they'll be in the park and maybe they'll ruin the experience for a family visiting from out of country or something, right? What can Disney do about that kind of stuff? Because I mean, I guess you can get them on like, you know, being disruptive or whatever. But I mean, it's like that's tough to kind of like police, right? It's you know, I don't know. How do you do this? And they don't want to completely get rid of influencers because influencers also promote their product, their parks. So it's that balancing act, and it's like, what do you do, right?
And it's like you can't. What are you going to do? Ban phones? Everyone has one. So it's like to shop in the store, you can't have your phone out because then that seems overreaching. Because then just normal people are like, I can't text my daughter or whatever it is. So it's like it falls into that like middle ground where it's just, I don't know how you navigate that. Like, you know,
it's tough. No, it's really, really tough. Yeah. Because at this, you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like, you want people in your park promoting your park. A lot of times people watch these live streamers and they're like, oh man, that funnel cake or that churro looks really good. I saw Tim Tracker eating that, or this one or that one eating that, and that looked really, really good. And it's promoting their stuff. But at the same time, if an influencer is in that park and there's a family from Australia and they're being disruptive and they're ruining someone else's experience, that's a shitty, I mean, they're just being a ball back at that point. And like, that's not okay. So it's just a tough.
I've actually heard a few people say, I think it was Rogue Attraction on one of the live streams said that recently he has seen Disney do more copyright claims of music in the background of videos. I mean, I guess that's a way you could go in if you have, and again, you've got your select okay group, and then the other ones you try and like penalize on the back end. Like you're saying, I don't know really how you go about it. But it's I think it's going to become an issue more and more as things just continue to grow and social media and influencers and people want to do that stuff.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree. Interesting dilemma that they're in for sure.
Yeah.
The next clip is from the one and only Drew, the Disney dude. We love this guy. This guy is awesome. Really, really cool. Drew is a friend of the channel. He's been on here several times now, actually even kind of recently, a couple of weeks ago. But Drew made a great video about EPCOT's future. So we'll play a little bit and we'll talk about it. Let's rock and roll. Here we go.
And to start, I think it's worth mentioning that up until recently, there really wasn't much going on at EPCOT. Now we know that that's changed, but if you look at Walt Disney World as a whole, like Magic Kingdom with cars and villains, a 15-acre transformation in the years ahead. Over at Hollywood Studios, you have the updates to Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, Monstropolis, the Walt Disney Studios Courtyard, Rock and Roller Coaster, starring the Muppets, and then at Animal Kingdom you have Zootopia, Better Together, and the Tropical Americas. There's so much going on at the other parks, and I think a lot of us, myself included, were thinking, well, what's next for EPCOT? Because EPCOT, in my opinion, is also a beautiful park for environment and atmosphere, and I like spending time there, but with how disappointing the transformation concluded with Communicore Hall and the World Celebration Gardens, I really haven't wanted to go to Epcot. I mean, I love Cosmic Rewind and the lights on Spaceship Earth and Remy, and even Test Track 3.0. I really, really love Test Track 3.0. I still haven't wanted to go to Epcot. But now, knowing that starting in 2026, I think with all the things we're going to be talking about today, the future of this park is pretty bright.
Now,
so I think that
before Drew kind of dives into the details of this, you're based in Florida. You live in Florida, and you regular Disney World, right? What are do you agree with Drew on that? I mean, has Epcot sort of been like, don't really need it, or has your thoughts changed on that park recently?
I do not like the redo or the makeover. What do you want to call it? I think from what was shown to the finished product is very, very underwhelming. Yeah. I love Epcot, but I love like Epcot how it was like in the 90s. Like it had that learning vibe, and honestly, the thing that bugs me now is it's not symmetrical from above. It's all like that my OCD brain, I just don't like that. I still like, I mean, you obviously have the food festivals, like that's a cool part of it. Like you said, Cosmic Rewind has some good attractions, but the new stuff is just, I'm not a big fan of like modern architecture. And that's kind of what new Epcot is like very modern, very sleek. It's still a great park, but I kind of agree with him unless there's really something specific to go do that you want to go check out. Like as a content creator, you go to check out some stuff that's there, but like, there's really nothing, and I kind of feel the same way about Animal Kingdom sometimes. It's like, it's not okay. Like it's not a big deal. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I feel his vibe there about Epcot currently.
Now, for me personally, when it comes to theme parks, right? I'm very much as our friend Bricky says, there's vibe guys and there's ride guys. I'm a vibe guy. So like for me, a park like Animal Kingdom is like amazing because it's all that whole park is just a vibe. There's barely any rides in it, but like for you, are you more vibes or more rides? I mean, because that kind of
it depends on the day. I'm kind of like in the middle. Like some days I'm good with just walking around and eating some food or checking out some shows, and some days, like especially with the kids, if they want to ride more stuff, like go ride things, I probably like lean more toward probably just get a little bit more vibes, like just enjoying a park a bit more and things of that nature. So yeah, and I get why people like Animal Kingdom. I'm just one of these people, like I'm not against, like I'm glad that the animals are safe. I just don't care to look at animals. I don't like zoos. Like when you see, like when you go on the safari and they're like, there's a lion, he's just sleeping. I'm like, cool. Like I'm glad he's safe. He looks cool, but like I just get no enjoyment from watching animals. But I get that people do. So for me, Animal Kingdom's always my least favorite park for that reason. But I think Pandora is one of the best lands that Disney's ever built. But yeah, probably more vibes of just chill, enjoying your day. Kind of I like Epcot's retro feel they used to have a little bit more.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that. I feel like for me, when I was there, I love that park, and I've only been to Epcot twice when I was down there a couple of years ago, and I fell in love with it. So it's really new for me. So my experience is going to be different than like you and Drew's, But like for me, the front half of the park, the future or the former Future World area, it's okay. It reminds me of like a Tomorrowland kind of thing. It's like that weird, like dated sort of vibe, right? But like, well, mixed in with like it's like dated, but mixed in with like ultra modern too. It's just kind of weird in the front of the park. But then you get to the back with the World Showcase, and that's for me, that's my jam. Like I love going to the different countries. I like the fact that each pavilion has like people from that area of the world, kind of like like as a cast member, like ringing you up and taking your order. I like that. That's pretty cool. But I could see though the argument that Drew was making over this, where he was saying like, well, right now, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's not a whole lot of new there, and it's like, how many times can you do? But all the other parks seem to have all this energy to it. I can kind of understand where Epcot's kind of like, okay,
Well, like you used to walk into Epcot. Like I like the fountain they have in front now, and I love Spaceship Earth. But you used to walk in and you had the canopy thing, and you had the Fountain of Nations, and it added such a like vibrant thing. And they had like you had the electric umbrella. like it was a cool little thing, but I love the Fountain of Nations. But the fact that that was replaced with this weird garden, and then they have this outdoor seating out there that's nice when it's not hot, because it's like metal seats, metal chairs, and there's very little covering. So like to me, it was designed in California, because if it's like middle of July, ain't nobody sitting out there and then like 2 o'clock in the afternoon just enjoying a coffee, because you would die. You just sweat, like immediately you burnt. And like some of the stuff too, of like they've got that concert area, which is cool, but it's not covered. So it's like, to me, it seems like this whole new part was designed in California for that climate, and they just put it into Florida. And it was like, oh, we didn't think about the sun here, and it's really, really hot. But I agree. Like World Showcase, it's almost like 2 theme parks. I love World Showcase. Yeah. Like it just, walk around, with your group of friends or something like that, like, or me and my wife. It's awesome. I love that. But the new stuff, Cosmic Rewind is definitely the best of the new stuff, but it's just very modern feeling that just to me doesn't quite fit with Epcot.
Yeah, and that whole thing was a victim of like of the pandy, right? Of the pandy. That whole thing was a victim of that, where, and also I think the CEO changes. We had Chapek in there, and it was a weird time for Disney, and unfortunately that was right when they were doing the Epcot stuff, and I think that is a big part of why. Plus we had different leadership. We had Barbara Boza in there running Imagineering. This is before Bruce Wong got in there, and so it was a weird time. And I think it's sad because Epcot's a great little park. I'm not little, but Epcot's a great park, and it is upsetting that part of it was kind of lackluster. But
well, and especially when you look, did you ever see the concept art of what Communicore Hall was going to look like?
Oh yeah, it was crazy. And you guys had like that with that like the elevated thing, right? With the
it looked like a spaceship was going to be in the middle of Epcot, and you're going to have this terrace above, and you're like, man. And then the thing we got, I'm not kidding you, it is just a square building that they didn't even theme on the inside very well. Now they do stuff with it during festivals, and like they do kid stuff this summer, and like they've utilized the space pretty well, and it does give you air conditioning in the middle of the summer. But I think it's also like the Mary Poppins ride, like so many things that were shown what was going to be were just not the final product. I think that also, if you've been around it, you're just like, I remember what this was supposed to be. Like, it's just kind of a harsh reminder of like, this could have been so cool, and now it's just this like modern looking building this year.
And that's really, and then we'll get back to Drew, but that's really the gift and the curse when it comes to Disney has all these cool ways to kind of hype up future projects, like D23 and all that stuff, and Destination D, which is great, and Disney leans into that stuff, and it's very popular. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, that same cool thing is also kind of the Achilles heel, because what happens is you announce all this stuff, and then something like the pandy happens, or an economic downturn, or whatever, and now the inevitable cuts come in there. And things get axed, and now you have to explain to your fandom what happened. Because that happened to us out here in California with like this Avengers Campus thing. That thing was announced at the Expo D23 in like 2019, and then Andy hit, and then that whole thing was like put on ice, and it changed like 3 or 4 times. And so you promise the thing, and now you can't deliver the thing, and now you have fans that are pissed off. So I know Bruce has said that they're kind of reimagining, so to speak, the way they're approaching this stuff. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I've heard him say that too. I do think that's a good idea. Yeah, I always say, I think somebody else said it, but like never get married to the concept art, because it likely will not be what they showed the first time.
100%.
As Disney's leadership continues to look at these parks and optimize them. When I say optimize, I'm talking about how where every square inch, it seems like we're heading in a direction where they want as many people in different spaces to kind of spread out crowds and to make more money back on as many offerings as possible, make more return on investment in the parks. They're going to continue to do more. It's a continuous cycle, to the point that Walt Disney World's last quarter was the most profitable on record in the resort's nearly 55-year history. Everything happening, including these things we're going to be talking about at Epcot, are all a part of that. And I gotta start with the thing that personally I am most excited for, Soarin' Across America. This announcement came out of nowhere, but Disney is saying that this is part of what they are doing to celebrate America's 250th anniversary, as beginning in summer of 2026, for a limited time. We don't know exactly when this is going to debut, but even though Disney hasn't said it, this will obviously happen before the 4th of July, before that 250th anniversary, though no date as of now. We are going to go to different landmarks across the country, and what's really cool is that when they made this announcement, not only did we get an awesome video from Patrick Warburton, who is chief flight attendant of the attraction for over 20 years now, in a beautiful poster with the Statue of Liberty and a bald eagle and the American flag. That poster is just stunning. Shout out to the artist behind that one. But they actually shared a first look at the Imagineers and the crews on site filming for this new version of Soarin'. And doing a little bit of research, also have to give a shout out to Scott Gustin over on Twitter here, that it looks like Mount Rushmore and Louisiana could be two of the more than a dozen locations that will be featured on Soarin' Across America.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I mean, that is really, really cool. I want to ask you, Jared, because I haven't talked to you about this on I don't think we really talked about this on
I don't think
any
we talked
episode.
about this at all, actually. I just now thought about that.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on, I mean, I feel like this is definitely, look, Bob Iger has come out, right? This is the big elephant in the room. Bob Iger has come out and said he wanted to moderate the company, right? I mean, he said this, I don't know, when he came in, I guess, in 2022 or something like that, right? I feel like, and you know, we won't get into too much of the politics, but I feel like this is part of that, where I feel like they're trying to get less political and just celebrating the country as a whole, which isn't, I don't think celebrating the country is political. You know what I'm saying? It's not taking sides. You're celebrating as a whole thing. I feel like this is part of that moderation. Am I wrong on that? Or you feel like that's...
No, I think that's part of it as well. I agree. No, I love this. When Disney, there's been obviously lots of people have said they're pulling away the Americana, talking about Rivers of America and other aspects of the parks that have gone away. I love it. I think America, first off, is beautiful. There's all sorts of places you could, in national parks and the mountains, there's all sorts of places you could do this on. And I agree. I think you know, celebrating your country is not political. It shouldn't be. It should be the 250th anniversary. America's beautiful. We're going to showcase that. I wish this was like a permanent thing, to be quite honest, or like have a rotating show between like soaring over California, soaring around the world, and then, you know, the soaring across America. But yeah, I think it's great. I love that.
I think the visuals here, there's a lot of potential with this, because we obviously live in a beautiful country. And when Drew was saying, you know, Mount Rushmore and, you know, I mean, there's so much you can do here. Now, my only concern, hopefully we don't get a lot, and maybe Scott Gustin reported on this, maybe not. I don't really know. I haven't really heard anything, but hopefully we're not getting like CGI stuff. Like, I feel like Soaring Over the World, heavy on the CGI.
I was getting ready to say that. I was like, as long as there's no CGI, like the Taj Mahal, like that takes me out of it. You just can tell it's not real. Yeah, I mean, I hope they do like Florida Man on an airboat or something like that. Like, you know, really get into like the, you know, go in the mid, you know, the rednecks in the Midwest, like, you know, get all the aspects of it. Yeah, I hope it's all real. I hope it really does portray just a celebration of what, you know, America. And I think that I agree with you. I think this is moderation, but also if they didn't do this or something along these lines, like celebrating the 250th, I think this would have been a bigger story. I think they would have been heavily criticized about not doing anything for it. So I think it may have been like they felt like they needed to, but also, well, hey, we're trying to be more moderate here and just, you know, celebrating the country, America's 250th, beautiful country, and just kind of leave it at that.
Yeah, no, well said. Absolutely.
They said that the Imagineers are already hard at work on this version of the attraction, but if you look at the rocks in this photo with the helicopter, that is very reminiscent of Mount Rushmore, which would be a perfect choice highlighting America's icons, and also the fact that, in my opinion, the other photo looks very reminiscent of a Louisiana bayou. So while there's more than a dozen locations, that's just a little bit of speculation on our end for now, with two of those main ones that could be featured. I also think it's worth mentioning how the Imagineers behind this version of the attraction have specifically mentioned from the initial announcement the lengths that they are going to make sure that this flows smoothly and comes across naturally in a way to us on a 5-minute long attraction. As when you're looking at an entire country with the amount of iconic landmarks we have here in the US, where do you even begin with choosing those locations? And then once they lock them in, making sure that they have the right equipment whenever they are on site in the middle of nowhere to correctly capture those moments so everything flows appropriately. And something that I think was a big point of feedback with Soarin' over California was how quick those transitions were, to where there was really no transition. You were just jumping from a cut of the camera to the beginning of a next scene. And they've specifically talked about how they took into mind when they were filming that, let's say a shot ends with a curve to the left or moving up and down, that they are going to naturally include that movement to the beginning of the next shot. So for us, it doesn't come across as jarring, and it all is very smooth and flows perfectly, which I think is awesome. As when you're staring at an 80-foot dome screen, when you're right in front of it and the quality of these cameras is getting better and better, the fact that they've gone to the lengths to have the right equipment as technology has advanced, making sure that everything comes across appropriately, even down to the transitions, I think is a very, very cool detail.
Yep, I agree.
Moving on over to the France Pavilion with Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. Another attraction, like I previously mentioned, part of EPCOT's transformation in Walt Disney World's 50th, is that we just got the announcement that beginning on November 14th, it will permanently be switching to 2D. The attraction will be temporarily closed from November 10th through November 13th, a quick 3-day downtime as everything is switched from 3D, glasses, and media to 2D projected imagery with clearer images. And over the next few months, even after it switches to 2D, there will be more props and lighting enhancements added throughout the queue and attraction itself. Now, I've seen a lot of mixed feedback on this. Personally, I don't mind it simply because I'm not a big fan of 3D. I like looking at things through my own eyes when you can see all the set pieces.
And I'm kind of the same way, actually. I typically, lately, I've been wearing more of my contacts. But I used to wear my glasses more. And if you wear glasses, like 3D at the parks kind of sucks because you don't want to scratch your glasses by putting the 3D glasses over your regular glasses, and it never sits right on your face. And it just, I don't know. Like for me, a lot of people wear glasses, and I feel like these 3D glasses are an issue for those people. And then even if you don't wear glasses, even if you're wearing contacts or your vision's perfect, you still have that issue of like what Drew was saying, where you feel very closed in. I did a video with Hey Bricky recently. Shout out to him. Really cool guy, friend of the channel. But he was saying how I asked him, like, would you want Soarin' to go 3D? And he said no. And he brought up a great point as to why. He said, when you go on Soarin', without the glasses and you have that big screen, it feels so airy and open, and it adds to the impressiveness of it. If you put glasses on, you shrink your experience. And I feel like that is very much the case. What say you though?
No, I agree. With this one, I think I need to see it. I think if it's an upgrade, if it's better for the attraction, I'm fine with it. If it's like a cost-cutting maneuver, and we've talked about it, I think, before on a live stream, where it's like they just don't want to spend the money on the 3D glasses. I think it just depends on the experience, but I'm not a huge fan of 3D either. My wife gets really motion sick, so 3D for her a lot of times causes her issues, but I think that's a whole other thing that could happen as well. But I think 3D is kind of played out. Like it's just, and I agree, I wouldn't want it on Soarin' either, because part of it, you got that screen, it makes you kind of, not that you're there, but you just feel more of the senses around you. And you're very aware when you have 3D glasses on that you're just looking through this very small lens. So as long as the experience is good and it doesn't make it feel cheapened, I suppose, I don't see a problem with it. They did this in Disneyland Paris before, so I don't know. I haven't really heard anybody that's talked about that one before, if it's any different. But yeah, I'm with you on there on 3D. I think it'll fade out, and then we'll see 3D really make another rise in like 20 years probably, is kind of 3D tends to go.
Yeah, it's interesting. I felt like Mickey and Minnie's, speaking of Mickey and Minnie's, he's got the sign in the background, which is really dope.
Oh yeah.
But like that attraction, when they were building that, they really touted this 2.5D sort of technology. And when that ride opened, I was really under the impression like this is the future. Like this is going to be, they're going to utilize this 2.5D technology more and more because you don't need 3D glasses, but you still get sort of that depth, right, with the experience. And in Mickey Minnie's, obviously, it's a very cartoony sort of aesthetic and vibe, but you can switch that up and do something more serious. It's a cool tech where you can change entire backgrounds and set pieces. It's pretty dope. But they haven't really leaned into that. I'm kind of surprised. I'm like, you have this cool tech you don't need glasses for. Why aren't you leaning into that more and playing with it? I think they should be, but you know, we'll kind of see. But I would agree with you. I do think that they're gonna pull back on the 3D overall. They're never gonna get rid of it completely. Like I think like a ride like Midway Mania, I think that works. I think that would be kind of weird if you didn't have them in that one.
Yeah, because you're also like it's like a small little thing. You're close to it. They're not trying to create. You're clearly playing a game too. I think you're not trying to create this like illusion that you're there. So yeah, I agree with that too.
Yeah, no, well said.
Oh, before I forget, I just want to say that helicopter pilot on the Soarin' thing, holy crap, that dude is good. And then also I love Patrick Warburton. That dude's voice, I'm super jealous, and all his kids have his voice too, and I wish I had his voice. I love the fact that he came back for that. I just wanted to say that before I forgot. I forgot to mention that, but that helicopter pilot, holy crap.
Oh, dude. Yeah, no, impressive. And Patrick Warburton, I agree with you. He's also great as Joe in Family Guy.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if you've seen it. One of his kids had a son, and they were like talking to the baby, and he's got like 4, I think he has 3 or 4 sons, and they all sound like him. All of them. I was like, oh my gosh. The genetic.
That is actually hilarious. I love that.
And just the detail and how high quality the media is itself. So personally, I don't mind it, but I understand that a lot of people like the 3D. I've also seen people talk about motion sickness and they couldn't go on it before. Now they'll get to go on it for the first time. But the thing is that this actually was tested first over at Disneyland Paris. They temporarily switched it from 3D to 2D, and then now it's actually undergoing its refurbishment where it's permanently going to 2D. So my gut feeling is that the guest feedback over in Paris, it wasn't minded to the point that they can get away with it. And I think that Walt Disney World's leadership looked at that and said, hey, if they're doing it over there, we might as well do it at the same time over here.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Universal is kind of going through this same sort of thing. Like, didn't they remove 3D from the Potter stuff and all that?
I don't think Potter ever had it. I'm trying to remember if it did. I think Green Got still. I'm trying to remember now if they used to have it or not. Okay, Green God still has it. I don't know if Forbidden Journey ever did. I'm trying to remember if it ever did. But okay. I mean, we talked about before that with you've seen like Monsters Unchained, they kind of do the same thing we're talking about, that 2D.5, where it's like they use those screens with the animatronics. I do think you're seeing a lot more of these theme parks using different methods to create that depth instead of just relying on 3D glasses.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It makes sense. Number one, you have a segment of the population like we talked about, and like what Drew has been talking about in the video, where you can get motion sickness a lot easier with that. So you definitely create a barrier for a lot of guests, number one. But number two, it's also expensive because you got to make these glasses, which it costs them money, and then you got to basically babysit the glasses, make sure everyone puts them in the bin, and then you got to have the cast member clean them, and so you're paying cast members, you're having to make these things. It's expensive, whereas if you can just make the experience, have depth out the gate and there's no glasses, you save yourself some money. So even from like a financial business end of it, it kind of makes more sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think it was Mickey from Braid, from Mickey Views that said years ago Disney approached Imagineering about getting rid of the 3D glasses for Flight of Passage for that very reason. Those glasses were getting older, and like if you've ridden that, it kind of gets a little hazy in there. And they were told essentially, if you get rid of the 3D glasses on here, like everybody's going to be sick. So I believe that's what he had said a couple of years ago. So maybe some of these you can put them in 2D and it doesn't affect motion sickness. But I do agree. I think there's obviously the cost that goes along with them and maintaining them. And I'm sure those glasses aren't cheap to buy in bulk. Like they're going to have to buy them. So I'm sure that's probably undoubtedly part of this.
Yeah. And actually that's a shame they can't switch over for Flight of Passage, because that would be like like a Soarin' almost. Like that would be so cool. So like massive screen, and I mean that would be incredible, man.
I was kind of surprised if that is true that would be the case, because I don't know why that would make you more motion sick. But I mean, if you upgraded those screens, maybe like that ride's great as it is. But if you were able to do that without the 3D glasses, I think that could be better. But I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if the Imagineers kind of do these like before they open the attraction, if they do like these tests where like you do it without it and then you do it with it and kind of see. They probably did some sort of run test like when they were building it, and it was like the Imagineers were like getting off and like just hurling.
Everybody's just sick. It's like Cosmic Rewind. I've seen that. They have trash cans, open lid trash cans off of Cosmic Rewind for that reason.
Man, that's wild. That's wild.
Right in time for the holiday season beginning here at Walt Disney World. So this one, I'm going to keep the jury out on until I ride it, but curious what you guys think, just because I've seen a lot of mixed feedback. But again, beginning November 14th and after, if you're headed to EPCOT, keep an eye out. Remy's Ratatouille Adventure switches to 2D. And if we're going to talk about the future of EPCOT, I have to talk about Frozen Ever After's updated animatronics.
Okay, now something we actually touched upon this in our last video, so I don't want to get too into the weeds with it, but I think from the last video, we were both on the same page with this Frozen stuff, right?
Oh yeah, it's creepy. It's creepy when you have weird illuminated faces that sometimes don't match up. And yeah, I think, and you're seeing, to Disney's credit, I think you're seeing them do a lot of these little like upkeep refurbs a little bit, like updating attractions. We've seen them do. Now Astro Orbiter, I think, is broke again, but they did redo that one. They're redoing Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. They're just doing a little bit of, maybe these are things they should have done years ago, but they're kind of going here and doing these things. I think it's a good thing to do. So I think the ride will be improved with actual faces moving and not just weird prom makeup on.
Yeah. Looks really bizarre. It looks really bizarre. But a fantastic video from Drew the Disney Dude. He is a really cool. I love the kind of energy and what he brings to the community in general. He does a lot of great reporting. Breaking news stuff, but then also he's been on OG55, and him and I will shoot the shit. And Jared, you'd love him. We were talking about the last time. We're talking about dinosaurs on other planets and crazy
That's
stuff.
What you were telling me, yeah.
He's fun.
I've never interacted with. I've seen him on Twitter X. I've never interacted with him, but he seems like he genuinely seems like he just enjoys this stuff, and that's something I definitely can appreciate. So we ought to get him on Theme Parking sometime. I think if he likes dinosaurs on other planets, we could definitely talk about, and on the next one, I brought up on mine the other day, the AI robots that are going to take over. I mean, we can did you see that? The home robots that they introduced?
I was watching You and Conductor. I mean, that was wild. First of all, the face is creepy as hell. That thing was
I'm gonna have to fight robots in the future. I've just come to accept this. It's gonna happen.
Oh, I'm telling you, bro. We all got. Hey, it's a good thing I started working out, because by the time I'm up to par, these robots are gonna be trying to scrap with us. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. They're definitely gonna do it. Then undoubtedly.
Yeah, that was a really fun stream. Everyone check it out on Jared's channel, and I think it was also on Theme Park Conductor. So it was a multi-channel. It was a lot of fun. You guys dipped into some great stuff with that whole. I think you called that the AI robot a beer caddy.
That's what he's gonna be. He's just gonna go get beer for dudes. Like in the commercial, they're all just sitting around doing nothing while this robot is just doing all their house chores. I'm like, eventually this thing is gonna get tired of putting up with your crap, and that light's gonna turn red, and then it's time to go.
It's over. No, that's great. That's great. But again, thank you, Drew the Disney Dude. Again, all these content creators, I'll be linking them in the description down below. So make sure if you're not following, make sure you do. Now we got one last one before we get out of here. This is actually about the city of Anaheim considering a tourist tax. Okay, this is crazy to me. Absolutely crazy. We'll let Dave take over. Here we go.
Not just Disney that wants to make more money off of us Disneyland fans. The city of Anaheim thinks that we're not paying enough as well. At least that's not what the latest proposal from the city of Anaheim suggests, and that proposal is gaining momentum. In 2026, we may be paying a tourism tax. This proposal is being described or labeled as something that is for any entertainment property that is of 20,000 guests or larger. So that would include places like, Angel Stadium, possibly the Honda Center, although I don't know if they draw 20,000 guests, but really it's very clearly pointed at Disneyland specifically, because this is, after all, just the city of Anaheim. They're proposing a 3% tax on tickets and a 10% tax on parking. And before we even get any further, let's just talk about parking for a minute, because I feel like that's where the cities, nationwide or statewide, are really trying to just gouge guests as hard as they can. You can't park. What is it? The SoFi Stadium. The parking there is ridiculous. Did you see what they're charging for parking right now at Dodger Stadium for the World Series? It's like $150 for large vehicles, $100 just for a standard, 80 or $100 or something like that. Gosh. It's ridiculous. So we're being charged now $40 for parking at Disneyland if you pay, on a per visit basis. This proposal would now make that 10%. They would make that $44. You'd be paying $44 just to park at Disneyland. And it makes me think, what is it about that concept that makes them think that they can do stuff like that? What makes them think they can just charge you 10% more?
Well, here's the thing. When it comes to parking, and I was talking to a good buddy, our good friend, Mr. Webba, about this the other day, actually, because out here in California, a lot of these theme parks, even Universal, I think Universal for like a standard car is like 35. I think Disney's like 40, right? They're all pretty comparable. And we were talking about this, like, why do they, and we asked the same question that Dave is asking, why do they feel they can get away with it? Because you can't avoid it. Like, you can go to the park and, you can go to the park and you can avoid the $30 Mickey cupcake or whatever. You don't have to eat that. You know what I'm saying? You can go to Universal. You don't have to buy the Princess Peach churro that's $25 or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But you can't avoid the parking, though. Like, once you're there, you're stuck like Chuck. You got to park your car. So that's why they do it, because they know, what are you going to do? You're already you're in your car. You're in the structure. What are you going to do? You can't turn around. They know they got you. That's why they get you really hard on that parking. But go ahead, Jared.
Oh, I agree. I mean, unless you want to really inconvenience yourself, which I did one time at SeaWorld, because at the time they were charging 40 and I parked back at the hotel and walked. Like, I dropped the kids off and walked like 2 miles on my own. I was like, I'm not paying the $40. It was just a principal thing at that time. Yeah, unless you want to really inconvenience yourself, you're going to pay it, and they know it. And it's, parking it's gotten so crazy. And I wish they would shout out to Silver Dollar City. They don't charge for parking. They got a sponsor. They got O'Reilly's Auto Parts, which is also out of Missouri, and they sponsor, so they make money by them and their names all over the vehicles and everything like that. I'm just like, get you a big fat sponsor and just make your money that way. And then it seems like your guests, like, if they're not dropping $40 on parking, they'll probably drop it on merchandise and feel better about spending that money. But parking is just you're just such an easy target. Because they're just like, what are you going to do? Not park your car? You're like, well.
Yeah, exactly. Everything else you can avoid, like expensive merch, expensive food. But parking is really tough, and they know it.
Yeah. For parking on something that's already ridiculously overpriced. I don't know. I feel like they think that they've captured you. Yeah. It's kind of upsetting. It's difficult to comprehend. And again, this isn't just a Disneyland thing. This is across the board. Wherever you go to park now, you have to park everywhere, you have to pay to park everywhere you go. And it used to be pretty nominal, but now it's absolutely invasive how that feels. Now, the reason why they're focusing on Disneyland, this new tax, I guess the city of Anaheim, their general fund is a little light. They don't feel like they have made enough money. They can't afford, and the general fund is just for basic, city operations, police, fire, housing, parks, that kind of thing. So it's just basic general operations for the city. Apparently, those coffers are a little light. And the councilman or councilwoman who is proposing this has said she doesn't feel like they want to target Anaheim guests specifically. She would rather target tourists coming into the park. Now, that's not to say that the city of Anaheim or the people who live in the city of Anaheim don't go.
Okay, this is I have a major problem with this, because here's my thing, and I've been saying for a long time on the channel. I feel like Disneyland is a very special place. This is the first theme park ever created by Walt Disney. It's still to this day one of the best parks Disney has ever built, right? And Disney, I've been very critical about of how they handle Disneyland Resort. They are constantly incentivizing locals, which I understand. I understand we need the locals, but I just want a little bit more effort in trying to garner some outside tourism. I mean, they claim they want that. I thought that was the whole point of DCA and the hotel and the whole thing. But at every turn, they're de-incentivizing people. And now you're gonna sit there and add a tourism tax. Like literally the worst thing you can do. You couldn't do any, like one of the worst things to like completely, not completely, but to like just de-incentivize people from coming here. Like, why would you do that? I don't. And then here's the thing: they just spent all this time and money trying to get this Disneyland Forward thing up off the ground so Disney can expand and do all this cool stuff. And now you're going to shoot yourself in the foot with this tourism tax when, like, right when this stuff is going to open in 4 or 5 years. It makes no. Seriously, sometimes government is so freaking stupid. I can't even believe. I don't know. And another thing too that I'm really questioning, I'm really curious your thoughts on this. Why is the city of Anaheim having such a hard time paying their bills? I mean, this has to be one of the most successful cities in the state, probably, just with this thing, with Disneyland sitting there, with the amount of people that are going through this city on a daily basis, and they can't pay their bills. So I find that kind of weird.
I always say never underestimate the ability of the government to misspend money. So I think they're always, instead of being like, what do we spend this on? Be like, oh, we just need more of it. We need to find more of it. And this is probably an easy target for them to do this, which if you're talking about a locals park, this is just another price increase by somebody, whether it's Disney or your government, you're just going to have to end up paying more. And yeah, I mean, I don't think that this is it's not going to help tourism to Disneyland at all with that.
No way.
It's just going to be another thing that, and you guys already have a lot of, down here in Florida, we have tourism tax, but like we also don't have any state income tax. And usually there is a tourism tax on the hotels specifically in places, but for the most part, it's like, okay, you don't have income tax, like you'll deal with some sales tax here and there, but to have a spot where it's not like this is a worldwide destination on the level of Disney World,
Right.
it seems a little, let's find extra money and this looks like an easy target, so let's do it sort of thing. And you know that tax rate will just go up. Like 10% seems high. I think ours is like 4 to 6 on depending on what you have, but 10% seems aggressive.
Oh yeah, and you're right. It's not going to go down. It's never going to go away. Once this gets implemented, this will never ever go away. It's only going to go up.
Yeah,
you
it
know?
is. I don't know what the percentages are, but it is very rare that something that once something, especially governmental's implemented, that it rolls back. So yeah, once that's there, that's like your baseline, and then 100%. It's just gonna. I mean, then you'd be looking at, it wouldn't be long before your parking's $50.
Oh yeah. Oh, $50. Yeah, we're already at 40.
Yeah.
I mean, 50 is not too far off. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. To Disneyland, and this wouldn't be affected by the parking increase or by the ticket increase, but the preponderance of guests, and this is true, especially for those parking. A local resident in the city of Anaheim is probably not going to be paying for single-use parking. They're going to find some other way to get into the park if you live in the city of Anaheim. I, however, even though I live local, even though I'm just 15, 20 minutes away from the park, everybody else around the city of Anaheim who does like to go to Disneyland, we're going to be the ones that are paying the preponderance of this tax. And then, of course, those guests coming in from out of, well out of town, out of state, out of country, that kind of thing. What this is going to mean for the city on an annual basis, it looks like it depends. The 3% tax, it depends on which level of ticket you're talking about, but we're looking at somewhere between $90 and $130 million per year for the tax tickets, for the ticket tax, and then maybe $20 and $30 million a year from parking. So even though it's a higher percentage, it's a much smaller number because there's obviously fewer people paying for parking than there are people buying tickets, plus the line item. It's $100 per versus $40. But yeah, so take a $104 ticket, that's going to turn into $107, and a $40 parking fee, like I mentioned, is going to turn into $44 for those of you who are paying the tax. Now, what's interesting,
and here's the thing: if I'm Disney, I would fight this.
I was going to ask you, can Disney push a little bit and get this? I mean, I would assume they kind of have some weight around Anaheim.
I would hope they would, because when people are buying their tickets, they're not going to differentiate between what the tax is and what Disney's just charging them.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention too. Like if they do it where they build it into the price, so it's not like, you know, if it's $40 to park and all of a sudden they're like, that'll be $44.50. They're gonna be like, well, what the heck? Like, oh, it's a tax. But then they build it in. They're gonna be like, oh, Disney's raised it even more, even though they necessarily have not. Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, if I'm Disney, I would push back on this.
Is that I'm interested to see,
because Disney gets all the blame and none of the benefit from this.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. I mean, if they're gonna raise prices, they want that money coming in, not going to the government.
Exactly, 100%.
how Disney reacts to this if it were to become reality. First of all, we'll mention this is being proposed for 2026. So it's, I think the vote is being proposed in 2026, November next year. So we have a ways to go before we find out if this is the case. But I'm curious to see if Disney will roll that in to whatever price hike they do. They've been doing recently ticket increases maybe in October. They did, the last one was in October. So let's just say, for example, that Disney maintains that frequency and we get another price hike in October. Let's say the 104 ticket goes to 110. Although they haven't raised that bottom ticket, but let's just say, for example, will they do it again if the vote comes in November and let's say the price increase starts, the tax starts in January, okay? They approve it, they vote it in November, and they roll that, the new tax in on January. Does Disney, because I'm curious to see what their reaction would be, does Disney take that first price increase that they did in October, part of their yearly normal increase, and then bump it again, a $3 increase for the taxes? If you don't see an increase in in January, Disney's probably going to eat it for that first year, is my guess. But if you see an increase go from 104, instead of going from 104 to 110, it goes from 104 to 114, then you'll see that means Disney has baked in that tax into their price, because we're not going to see, it's not going to show up on your ticket, it's not going to show up in your parking, it's just going to be a flat number. It's going to look the same. But how much different will it be year over year will tell you whether or not Disney has decided to eat that tax, or if they're going to bake it into the price. Now, I expect Disney to bake it in. But there is some conversation that Disney, I don't think that Disney wants this to happen. I don't think that they're looking to charge more, especially if it's going to be a situation where they have to react and they have to price it in. And I think that they're gonna probably try to negotiate with the city of Anaheim before it even gets to a vote in November.
I thought this discussion, and I could be wrong, and everyone at home comment in the comments if I am wrong. I could have sworn that this was proposed years ago and Disney did fight them on this. I thought in and around, we were supposed to get a fourth hotel here at Disneyland Resort. And there was a whole bunch of weird tax stuff with that. I thought there was something with that. And I could have sworn there was something with that where Anaheim wanted to do this tourist tax and Disney was like up in arms over it. And I could be wrong. Comment down below if you guys remember that, or maybe I'm tripping. I don't know. But I mean, this is not good for Disney. They, like we were talking about. I mean, it doesn't help them at all. It doesn't benefit them at all. Disney is already front page news every time they raise ticket prices. Now it's going to be even worse, and it kind of puts them in a bad spot. I would have to imagine, unless there was some backroom deal like, hey, we'll give you this if you just shut up and let us do our tax. I don't know.
I mean, you never know. I mean, I'm actually surprised that this would be the first time this is proposed, because honestly, from the outside looking in, I figured you guys already had a tourist tax on your stuff. So I would assume at some point they probably have tried this before, if I were to guess. But yeah, I would assume as well Disney would fight it. But yeah, like you said, maybe they've made some sort of deal where they're allowed to do more things in Anaheim without as much red tape because of this. One would assume if they were going to do that, that's something a deal they could make.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I think that Disney's going to say, look, we are already the largest tax-paying entity in the city. I don't think that can be argued. I don't think that anybody pays more tax than Disney does, or even their guests. By the way, let's talk about that for a second, because did you know that there presently is no tax? I kind of thought there might have been, but there isn't. There's no tax right now on Disneyland tickets or parking. The only tax that is in play right now for guests of Disney parks is the hotel tax. They're paying 15% right now. 15% is being baked into your hotel.
Now, what is it in Florida?
Holy cow! I didn't know it was that high. Let me look really quick. I think it's
insane.
I think it's 6. Let me look here. It'd be Orange County. It's a relatively new one that they've done. Let's see, hotel tax. I want to say it's 6%. It is so yeah, 6%.
Okay, so this is like more than double that.
But it says okay, but there's other taxes as well, so it can approach 12% depending on different localities and things. So, but the main one is 6, but it can approach up to 12 depending on where you stay, I suppose.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? Disney World already has, it's very much a tourist market already.
Yeah.
So I feel like that kind of stuff doesn't hurt because it's very much a mature tourism destination already, right? So I feel like it doesn't impact Disney World in a negative way as much. When you're trying to build a Disneyland resort as more of a resort destination, like when you're building, it's harder to introduce hurdles. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you're trying to build it up, and now Anaheim's gonna go, well, here you go, here's a tax. Like, I feel like it's not a great time. Like, maybe when we're established a little bit more with the tourism, and we can kind of do that. But if we're trying to build up, and see, Anaheim ain't stupid. Disney announced all this stuff: Pandora, the Coco boat ride, the 2 Avengers rides. Now this thing goes up for a vote next year. All that new shit's gonna be open in 2030. They're doing it just the right time. They know exactly what they're doing.
Well, and it may not be that big of a deal if, like, again, outside looking in, like, you guys already have a lot of extra taxes compared to a lot of other places. So it's like, it's just yet another thing, especially if you're a local, that just going to cost more money. That's just another tax that you got to deal with on some level.
Yeah, no, well said. Well said.
Hotel visit. And that's the case for not just Disneyland, but, those hotels that are serving the convention center and anywhere else. Any hotel of a certain minimum size, guest capacity, those guests are paying 15% on top of whatever that hotel feels like is their normal rate, which explains why some of those hotels, the smaller ones on Harbor Boulevard, for example, have I don't know if it's significant, but I mean a visibly lower rate compared to what they're charging. For example, let's just say if a room costs $600, there are rooms that cost $600. That room goes from $600 to $700. Well, no, if it's 730, is that right? 10, 5, 30, $130. So a $600 room goes to $730 room. The higher the price gets, obviously, the even more tax you're being paid. And this is something that's been, this went on. This was a whole point of debate, of consternation between the city and Disney. You guys remember they were going to build that hotel back there?
That's okay. That's what I was talking about earlier. Yeah, there was a whole big thing about that with the taxes and all that shit.
Yeah,
where the ESPN zone, they were going to right there, ESPN zone, and where the monorail station is, they were going to build another huge hotel in the parking lot of the downtown Disney. They were going to do it, and the city said, "No, man, you can't do it." And you can't do it, by the way, because it's not zoned for hotels. That hotel was being put in a parking lot, and Disney's like, "Screw that. We don't care if it's zoned for parking. We're still going to build a hotel." And the city of Anaheim said, "No, that's zoned for parking." That conversation, changed how Disney was sort of negotiating or working with the city with respect to hotel taxes. They had opposed it, and then they said, never mind, we're not even going to worry about it. We're not going to fight that. Instead, we're going to build that new parking structure. That's when they built the Pixar Palace parking structure. They were supposed to build a hotel where the Pixar, ish. They were supposed to build it ish in that area. I digress. And then, by the way, that conversation was the beginning of Disneyland Forward. That was then that Disney said, you know what? Yeah, okay, so we can't build a hotel in a space zone for parking. Let's change how our properties are zoned. That got approved. So now if they wanted to, they could build a hotel in that parking lot. It's too late. They've already done it. But that's what the whole point of Disneyland Forward wasn't necessarily to build new properties. It was to change the way that the city zones those properties so that they could develop them in the future at some point. But there's no actual there. Well, I guess there is now, but that was the whole idea. Anyway, again, I digress. There's only a tax on hotels. They tried to do this. They tried to do a ticket tax back in, 2022? In 2022, there was a 2% ticket tax proposed back then. And that's not that long ago. I don't even remember this, to be honest. But they were going to tax, obviously, tickets and annual passes. But that actually never even got to a vote. And I'm sure that was the case because Disney started lobbying against it. And they found some way to, get around that.
Yeah, see the hotel thing and this ticket. I remember having these discussions as a fandom for the past few years. I'm like, this is like deja vu. Like, I remember all this crap. Like, this is an ongoing thing. But it's obvious that Anaheim wants this. They tried, like he's saying, the ticket tax. Like, a few years ago. Now they're going to revisit this thing. Eventually, this thing is going to happen.
They just look at it as that's a big pool of money that they don't have access to at the moment, and they're gonna, if they don't get it this try, they'll circle back, and like you said, 2022, 3 years later, they're trying again. They'll probably try. If they don't get it this time, they'll probably try again in 2028.
Exactly. So, want to give a big shout out to Dave from Fresh Baked. Dave from Fresh Baked is very much a Disneylander. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He is very much a Disneylander, and he's been doing this for a really, really long time. Nice guy too. I've met him a few times. He's been on the channel once before. So a big shout out to Dave. This is actually his secondary channel, his sister channel, Fresh Baked Presents. I'll be linking that in the description down below. So make sure you show a lot of love to Mr. Fresh Baked, Mr. Disneyland himself, Dave. But Jared, any final thoughts on this tax thing before we close out today?
No, I just taxes never, seemingly they don't go down often. So I wish you guys well that you don't have to pay 10% to park. That seems, although sometimes I was surprised to see ours was even getting close to 12, but 15 seems high. But it's I mean, again, it's just one of those things where it just impedes the guests, and I mean, you're already making money off them. You might as let them be. Just let them be. Manage your money better and don't just go looking for more money all the time.
No, 100%. The amount of people going through that city and on a daily basis, because you have this icon sitting there, there's no excuse why Anaheim can't pay their bills. That is absolutely insane to me. Insane. Like,
you guys should be, do an audit and figure out what's being spent, and then figure out, and sometimes you got to cut budget. Sometimes, the people have to do that in their homes too. So,
Yeah. No, well said. Well said. Now, before we get out of here, I want to promote a couple of things. We have the lovely Mimi Fan, friend of the channel. If you're looking for any cool food places or just fun places to go in the OC area or LA, check out Mimi on Instagram and on YouTube. Her information will be linked down below in the description. So amazing food all around the SoCal area. Make sure you check out Mimi Fan. And we also have Jared from Capture the Magic, who's with us today. His merch store is incredible. If you are into nerdy attire, nerdy tees, Nintendo, Universal, Disney, whatever it may be, check out the merch store, CTM Apparel, link down below. And if you use promo code OG55, you get a 10% deal on your purchase. So make sure you check it out, buy yourself a nice nerdy tee, and you support a friend of the channel.
And you also get a little cut as well when they use your promo code. So
absolutely
gets a cup of coffee. There you go.
Everybody gets a cup of coffee. I appreciate it. Mr. Jared, I thank you so much for joining me today. These are really fun. I love doing these, like, this week in kind of episodes, kind of break down the week through that content creator kind of perspective. So I appreciate you doing my second episode with me, brother. If you could let everybody know where they can find you on social media so they can follow you and show you some love.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Like, I love coming on. We always have a good time talking about this stuff, and I as well. I like seeing the different perspectives, especially like Disneyland, because I'm not super familiar with that, and seeing like all the stuff there. So I learn a lot when I'm doing this as well, and then it's sometimes entertaining. But yeah, I love being here. You can find me at Cap the Magic. I do daily videos over there, and I just covered Comcast's earnings call they had, where they showed Epic was the revenue was up another 19% for Q3. So you can check that out, and whatever else comes up in the news, I'll talk about it over there.
There he is. There he is. Links down below. Make sure you follow Jared from Capture the Magic. Check out his content. We also do a like bi-weekly show. Myself, Jared, Slimer, and occasionally George when he's not on vacation.
When he's not in Cabo or wherever he goes.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But we do a bi-weekly multi-channel thing. It's like the Avengers. We all come together. You know,
Yeah.
It's pretty dope. I love it.
We
I
tackle
love
the
it.
topics of the week, and there's always so much stuff going on. It's like half the time I feel like we didn't even get to like a quarter of it because it's just like, how much? What do we choose from here?
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. We've been doing a lot. We've been doing these episodes more often lately, which is awesome. You know.
Yeah, honestly, they're a lot of fun, especially with the chat going. Like, there's just a good. It's just nice hanging out with your friends, and then you got the chat involved, and it's just it's a good time.
Yeah, Jared made. Well, you made $500. Your audience was daring you to go this coaster, and you're like,
me. I was bullied. I listen. Just if you ever decide to live stream or content creator, always value your stuff more expensive than you assume people will pay. I've learned that price, and I I now have to ride a coaster I never thought I was going to ride when it's built, but you know, you live and you learn.
Well, and that's the one that they're getting rid of Rip Ride Rocket, and the coaster that you have to ride now is that replacement, right?
Yes, whatever's replacing that. That's what my price would be, and I was like, oh, like I don't know, $500. I was assuming nobody would do that, and I was proven wrong very quickly. So.
Hey, and we'll see what Universal brings to the table with that attraction, because Universal isn't usually known for being shy when it comes to their coasters.
No, they're not, and they typically build really quick. So I'm rooting for slower construction for the first time ever, but we'll see. Maybe it'll be a dark ride and just goes really slow. Who knows?
You never know. Yeah, exactly.
Like, we're just gonna do a slow moving boat ride here. And I'm like, oh, there we go. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I want to thank you, Jared. I want to thank everybody for watching this episode of OG55. Comment down below with all your thoughts on everything we discussed today. We would love to hear from you. And until the next time, see you.
Thank you so much for watching OG55. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and become a member today.